But this week, there is a lot to talk about, from politicians, the relief bill, the hospital and urgent care that is at its breaking point, the immunization updates, and we would be unjust not to talk about the Nashville bombing. It's a lot in just 1 hour. So joining me again today is our wonderful panel of Bill and Brandy. Hi, you guys. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
And
Hello.
don't forget, you can reach Brandy at On the Right Track. She's a publisher author. You can go to her Facebook.com, On the Right Track with Brandy Hunt. And then don't forget Bill and Barbara at Facebook.com, BillBarber.Kaufman. And on Wednesday nights, you can catch Bill with a wonderful Bible study. Bill, what time is that again? 7 o'clock?
It is, but we're probably not going to do it this week. We're going to probably start the next week again because of first, the new year and everybody. They didn't necessarily want to have Bible study those 2 weeks. So we're going to start back up again, and then we're going to do it, I don't know, January, February, March, April, May, and on and on.
All right, so next week, join Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock at BillandBarbara.Kaufman on Facebook for an amazing in-depth Bible study. You'll learn things that you don't even think about. It's completely revolutionary. And if you're writing a book, I'm going to plug Brandy because she doesn't plug herself. But if you want to write a book, if you have it in you to write a book and you don't know what to do, I'm telling you what, Brandy is the go-to person. She will help you from thought to conception until it's reality and online, in stores, and wherever you all decide as a team where your book needs to go. But she is amazing. She is wonderful. So reach out to her on Facebook as well. DM her, message her, whatever. But she has classes galore. Go on her Facebook, look up all the information. She's beautifully, she's wonderful. I'm getting my book published through Brandy. Of course, I have to write it, but it's coming. It's coming. So we have a lot to talk about today. Like, I can't even begin to think about all that we need to talk about, but before I do, remember, chat us, say hi, lead our conversation.
I have one right now. And
we got a comment, and I don't know what it means, but I don't think it's inappropriate. So, the Periscope police said, "Hey, Brandy, who stole my milk? I want the truth." You need to tell us, Brandy?
No, I can't. I'm tickled pink though.
All right. Well, Periscope police, you'll be pleased to know that you are in the running today because you're the only one. But as the day goes by, hopefully others will chat to win some Truth to Hear merchandise. As seen here, you can pick one of your choosing and just message us, contact way to get in touch with you, and we will get that right out to you. But without further ado, and Brandy, don't take anyone's milk anymore. I promise.
Before you even start that, Melanie, I gotta say something. It's appropriate. I mean, it's timely. This week, my older sister's friend, she's 4 years older than me, sent a picture of her high school days. And so the kids that were 4 years older than me that I remember, because you look up to those kids, I don't know anybody 4 years younger than me. I just don't know any of them. You don't pay attention to the younger kids, but younger kids pay attention to the older kids. And they have a picture of a place, everybody, they were teenagers and they're partying and they're all standing around. And there's this one kid and his name was Dale, and Dale was a bully. And he was mean. And when I was in 4th grade and he was in 8th grade, I was scared of that kid because he was mean. And she sent a picture, and Dale is standing in the middle of this thing, and it just made me laugh because he would steal your lunch. He'd steal your milk.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Dale would stand at the market and steal the kids' money, or steal the kids' candy as you came out with. You came out with your candy, and Dale was standing there. If you were going to keep it, there was going to be a fight.
Well, that just goes to prove that people do change. People change.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know what happened to Dale, but I thought it was hilarious, when somebody said, "Who stole my milk?" I was like, Dale stole your milk.
Stole the milk.
Right. Hands down.
Sorry, Dale,
Okay, sorry for my silly
ever find this
version, but
video.
that was just this week when I saw that picture, and then that happened, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh no, Dale stole the milk. All right, well, listen, I know who didn't steal the milk. But there is a commercial with her with the milk mustache, the Queen of the UK, Queen Elizabeth. She did not
That's right.
steal the milk. But if you guys are familiar, here's a picture of her for those who might not know her. She gives a Christmas address every year. She's been doing it for as long as time consists of with her in the palace. So I find this, and there's a reason I'm bringing it up, because I normally don't compare one to another, but what I found was her address was so personal and so inspiring and uplifting. I found myself enamored. If you guys need to know how a government head should be speaking in these times, you should listen to Queen Elizabeth's address, because what she talked about, she addressed all people of faith. And she addressed that no matter what holiday, and she named some holidays that I didn't even know existed like 2 weeks ago. And she's like, they had to do their holidays a couple of weeks ago, and they had to do it with COVID restrictions. And here we are as Christians doing our holiday to celebrate Jesus with COVID restrictions. And she addressed how hard it is to social distance, but that she felt like they could be unified despite it, But she unapologetically, as a professed Christian, because I don't know her personally, she unapologetically talked about Jesus, talked about how he is the answer, talked about how faith in God is going to get their country through this. And you could tell it seemed genuine to me. But she also talked about the loss and the sadness of people, that they just want a hug, they just want a handshake, because no one's able to physically give that anymore. And then she ended with her thoughts and prayers for the country and for everybody. But here's some pictures of her and her family. Like, they're doing business on Zoom. Okay. That no matter who they are, you can find them doing business. There's Prince Charles and Camilla. I don't know her right title. Up on the right, and then you have Prince William. But they're doing business on Zoom. And then even when she was at the unknown soldiers memorial in the West Windsor Abbey, she was still wearing a mask. Nobody around her, of course, the film person, but nobody else. And she still wore a mask when she was outside of her residence. And then here is the military choir, not military, but the choir that came to sing. They were 6 feet apart. They were socially distanced. Same thing with the band that came to play. They were 6 feet apart. And then here's how the family greeted each other, 6 feet apart, and you can read more about it or about how they greet each other 6 feet apart. But I found that, we know a couple of people from the UK, and there isn't a lot of dissension with the government there. It's hard, it's difficult, but it is unified a lot more than here we are in America. And it made me think the integrity of our politicians is at the forefront of how we're responding to this whole situation. And we have our politicians proving a lack of faith, no mention, really honest mention about praying or God or Jesus, because we do church and state separately here. But over the past 10 months, they've taken care of themselves. They've gone on vacation. They have granted privileges to the wealthy, like COVID testing for entertainment, sports, politicians, making them sure that they themselves are essential workers, even if they're not working for us. And that's proof of how long it took them to get a stimulus bill together, while demanding that all the rest of the working class Americans lose everything. And what do you guys think? Do you think that, is it a correlation? Correlation, not coalition.
Correlation. Go ahead, Brandy.
Anytime Bill says go ahead, Brandy, he's got something in his hat. So go ahead, Brandy.
Right, and then he be throwing me under the bus. I'll be like, why I got to go first?
Oh, no, I'm just, I got too much to say, and I don't want to cut you off. I tend to overspeak.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bill. You go first.
Okay, well, I do think that politicians haven't changed a whole lot. I do think that politicians are a lot of the trouble, but they're necessary evils. And this is a time when maybe the person that's winning the White House and holding the House and Senate may not, and because we don't know who's going to hold the Senate, we thought we did, but now it's a little bit up there, may not agree with me. But I do know that I don't want to go so far as to have anarchy, because, I just don't. I also don't want to go so far as to have tyranny. I like it in between. I like it somewhere in the middle. And, but at the same time, yeah, politicians have been made fun of the whole time. Will Rogers made fun of them. I mean, everybody makes fun of politicians because they say one thing and do another. And that's what people have always made fun of. And all of a sudden we're asking for it again. We're actually saying we want to go back to, politics as usual. Well, that means they're going to tell you one thing and do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And it is about most politicians, not everybody. I'm certain there are some very strong, good, moral, ethical politicians out there. I don't know who they are. They don't seem to come up on my television.
I think they start out that way.
I think a lot do. Yeah. Look, the reality is, if I was voted in the Senate 12 years ago, I wonder if I'd think like I do now. I really do. I wonder if that would absolutely change the way I see things. I know it would change my bank account. Just kidding. But I do want to say this. When a politician, and I don't care which side you are, votes in laws that they exempt themselves from, that causes our cynicism, which is exactly what happens. By the way, this isn't the first time it's happened. This is time immemorial. I mean, this is the way it is. And by the way, and I like history a great deal, this isn't the only time there's been contention. I mean, the Douglas-Lincoln debates are an example of contention. You go back to England in the 1600s, whenever the king got his head chopped off and Cromwell took over, and he became the Lord Protector of England. And I mean, they chopped off the king's head, for gosh sakes. And that was the Roundheads versus the Cavaliers. And I mean, this is in the 1600s in England. So this isn't completely new that politicians are at odds with each other, and they look out for themselves over a lot of other things. And that's where, in our state of California, Melanie, they're trying to recall the governor. I don't think they're going to be successful, but they're trying. The reason they're trying is because of what's going on. It seems like our leaders in California get to do whatever they want, go where they want. Their wineries stay open, their businesses stay open, but everybody else pretty much has to shut down. And they go, oh, well, we're necessary. They always have a reason and excuse.
Yeah, I completely hate that word essential. They're essential. So, okay, they can do whatever they want because they're an essential person. One of the most grievous things I heard, and I it was late at night, I didn't take notes, so I don't have the exact person. But what I heard was, if people wanted to work through this COVID pandemic, they should have built their lives in an essential career.
Yeah, like you knew it was going to be shut down.
But for me, it's like, why isn't everybody essential? Like, until now, everybody's job counted. You don't have somebody working a job and getting paid for it, and people saying, oh, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's job mattered. And it still should. Is there a big news break going on I don't know about? But both of you are looking at your phone, and I'm like, wait, am I missing something?
My news break is my 20-year-old daughter trying to call me. So
okay, but yes, you deal with your daughter. I just wondered, like, wait a minute, is there a news break?
It was a big deal, but a small, not a big national thing.
Okay, so Brandy, what do you think about this whole relief bill? all 5,593 pages?
Well, first, I'm not a huge follower of the government. But this year has probably been my biggest year where I'm just like, okay, now what are they doing and why? And I think it just makes me feel like there's a bigger fight going on somewhere that we don't see, because you can't tell me that we have a huge deficit. People are hungry, and you're really fighting over the fact that they should get $2,000 or $600 or whatever. And all of these other countries, Canada and all these other people, then gave out billions of dollars to keep their countries going. And we're supposed to be the richest country on earth, and we're the ones that looking the brokest. I just don't get it. Like I just feel like there's another something that's being fought on the background, that they, because it's that hidden agenda thing for me. It's like, this is what they're showing you, but there's a whole nother situation going on that we're not seeing. So we see the fight over, do you think they should get 2,000? Do you think they should get, and then one man, whoever this person is, can shut the whole thing down and say, nah, I don't think people should get $2,000. You telling me hungry people? Now I get, like, everybody that gets the money may not be broke, but like we can't go to work. Like, we can't go to work. It's not that we don't want to go to work. We can't go to work. And so it just don't make sense to me. So and then how many pages is in it? Why does there have to be 5,000 pages to it and stuff that doesn't even make sense?
I want to explain the 5,000 pages because I'm on you, but we got so many messages. I need to get some on here. Okay. So hello to Marsha Ruiz. Aloha. We're actually, I don't know if you're from Hawaii, but when my sister greets me and my son, when he lived in Hawaii, they would always say aloha. So aloha to you. And the social media shows our partner, Maria. Hi, she said amazing. I love her little icon. Is that so cool? I love that little, I don't know what you call that picture. And then we have a gentleman, I'm going to say he's a gentleman based on the thing. And he's talking a little bit off topic. He's talking about population and growth, going to Mars, and that Elon Musk is heading that up. So thank you, Mr. Dickinson. I appreciate it, but we're going to stay on topic today. If you want to reach out and do another show based on, Elon Musk and his theories, I think Elon Musk is somebody that is worth talking about and what he thinks and wants to do. So, Mr. Dixon, if you want to join us on another show, I'd be glad to have that as a topic.
It is an interesting topic.
It is a very interesting topic, and I really would like to get that, because one thing he said here, I will show one of his comments out of respect. He says that Elon Musk said this, when humans go to Mars, the laws of Earth will affect them. They will create their own laws, and every citizen will get to vote for law, and money is cryptocurrency without bankers. Now, that will be an interesting way of living. It's not so far-fetched, I think. So maybe we'll do a show about Elon Musk, because he is an interesting person, very interesting person. So thank you, Mr. Dickinson. So why so big? Because this is the thing. It is called it's a relief package, COVID package with, and Bill's going to correct me, I know this, I'm not the historian, but with an omnibus bill attached to it. So what an omnibus bill is this. It's a proposed law that covers a number of diverse or unrelated topics. Okay, so you can read that. But an omnibus bill is a single document that is accepted in a single vote by a legislator, but packages several measures into one or combines diverse subjects. So that's what this bill is. I think it is irresponsible and downright deceiving, though, that our government is getting everybody all excited about a COVID relief stimulus bill for the American people to get out from under so much. It's not even debt anymore. Like it's just a way of life. Like bills aren't getting paid. It's a matter of food on the table, getting medicine in your closet. It's a matter of just surviving. And they take that and call it a COVID relief bill. But it really isn't, because we're going to go through all of it. But it really isn't a COVID relief bill. It's actually a $900 billion for COVID, but it's attached to a 1.4 trillion of the omnibill.
Oh.
1.4 trillion. So if you don't accept the COVID, so here's the caveat. Hey, American people, we're going to give you this $600 because we want 1.4 trillion to go where we want it to go. So you get one, you get the other. You can't have one without the other. But I want someone to tell me, why do we need, and Bill, maybe you answer this. Do you have to have an omnibus bill? Can't they just give American people relief since they took away the right to earn their own living?
They could, but here's the problem with it. And this is, numbers get out of control in our minds because we don't think this way. But you understand, the government brings in about $3.5 trillion in taxation. Okay. That means 1/3 of it just went to the COVID. 1/4.
Oh, okay. But
so 1/4 of all the money coming in goes to this. The government's got to spend money on all kinds of stuff. And this is what I mean about politicians being a little deceitful. The government can't not do some of the things it has to do that only a government can do. I'm for the least government possible. That's my political viewpoint, but I'm not for no government. You have to have some. So when you have half of the money almost in this omnibus and 1/4 of it basically going just for the COVID relief, of all the money that's going to come in, you still have to do the military, you still have to give people welfare, you still have to give all this other stuff that people, do and build roads and, send rockets up in space. Everything has to be paid for. We only bring in so much money. And this is the problem. The future is really precarious now because we've stopped commerce. The government does not make money. The government does not invent money. They tried that in Germany after World War I. It destroys everything, the Wehrmacht Republic. You can't do that. Only place money comes from is commerce. Now, there's two different versions of it. I understand the Keynesian view of economics, where the government can control things, which I don't agree with. I'm more of a Friedman guy and think that the people do a better job with it. But regardless of anything, nobody disagrees that money comes from commerce. Us, you and me.
They stop the commerce, so there's no money going anywhere.
If you don't do that, you can't tax it. And if you stop the commerce, you're slowing down the money coming into the government through taxation. You can raise the number up. We're going to charge you 30%. No, we'll charge you 50%. 50% of nothing is nothing. And so this is a big problem that we haven't even addressed. I know that politicians are addressing this behind the scenes, but this is going to hurt. If we don't get this commerce going, the government's not going to be bringing in money. They can't turn around and give it back to you because they don't bring it in. So anyway.
Okay, I get that at the core of it. Brandy, what do you say to that? What do you say to that? The government still has to run. It still has to do everything it does without, listen, they're the ones who stop the people from working. They're the ones who are stopping and mandating that people don't work. Listen, if you can go to work as a congressman or congresswoman or senator or politician, period, and you can go into your offices and do safe distancing, right? And you can work with your staff safely. Why can't a law office go to work? Why can't any other office personnel go to work and sanitize and safe distance and wear a mask? I don't understand how that, you can eat out, but you can't eat in. Like, come on. Right. To me, it's just like, there's no reason for almost a year. If you understand, to me, this is it. And this is the final thing that I'm going to be quiet for a while because this gets under my crawl so much. Because you got like you said, the politicians are still living their lives. Their kids don't have to worry about public school. They're going to private school. They're still open. Private schools are still running. So the kids are still going to school. They're still traveling on their private jets. They're still going to their wineries. They're still having their parties. And to sit there, and they're still making their money. So how can they impose anything on the American people without giving them something in return? And if they can't just make money, just stop it. Stop commerce altogether. Nobody pays rent. Nobody pays mortgage. Nobody works. Nobody does anything. Just stop commerce altogether. Brandy, go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. So, I mean, if we'll just say people who got evicted because they couldn't pay their mortgage or their rent, just stopping that one thing, saying, okay, they can't go to work, they're being evicted because they can't pay. Stop the downward spiral, because that's what's happening. If stuff continues to be due, but the commerce that I once had coming in is no longer available. So the system you have me in is broken, but you still expect me to work a fixed system, but it's broken. And so you didn't give me an answer. You just broke the system and then told me deal with it. But it broke. How can I drink out of a cup that's shattered on the floor?
Yeah.
But I want you to drink out of this cup, but it's no cup. There's nothing there. But I'm being punished for not drinking out of this cup and not being able to produce and perform the way that I was when everything was put together. And so I just believe if they stop the major penalties, repossession of cars. Now I don't have a car to get to said job when it comes back open. I don't have gas money. I don't have the resources. I don't have food because it costs to buy food but I paid my rent, but I don't have anything to put in my refrigerator. So it's a never ending cycle. Something's not going to get paid. Something's not going to get done because you broke the system. And then you're trying to put it together. You're trying to put together a shattered glass with glue. That's not going to work.
So, Mr. Dixon.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to comment on some of the things he had to say.
Yeah, Mr. Dixon joined the conversation about this, and it's fun. It's, what do you think? He says he's from Finland. Welcome, Mr. Dixon from Finland. It's an honor to have you on the show today. And almost all of Europe has a social beneficial structure that you get money to get along. 1,200 euros are free. And now we have a migration problem because of the free money. So they gave 1,200 euros free, but now everybody wants some. Okay. And then he also said free school, free meals, free health care. European countries pay the biggest taxes on the planet, but they provide free services for its citizens, and they take a small percentage off for military budgets and building billion-dollar aircraft carriers, and you're just fine. He says the government pays you 70% of.
I think he means you pay them 70% of your income, and they give you money back.
Yeah, they give you money back. They pay you the 70%.
You pay a lot of money in taxes in Europe. Please let us know what you meant by the 70%. But I took it as though you meant you're paying a lot of your income to the government, but then they're giving you services.
He said no.
Okay.
No. He was going to explain that. So Mr. Dixon explained that. But he says he feels bad. There's a preface word, so I won't show. But he says that he feels bad for us here in America. Because this is the thing, I don't want communism. Believe me, I don't want communism. But it's a difference. He says the government pays you 70% of it. So your salary goes to the government, and then they give you back 70% of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works in Finland. I'm friends with people in England, and they don't pay. The government doesn't pay 70% of their salary, but Finland they might. I don't know. I've never been to Finland.
Maybe he's saying during this pandemic they've been getting 70% of their income.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
It sounds like there are other governments that are taking care of the citizens. And I know we say here, well, you can't get evicted, but that's not true. People can get evicted. They're getting evicted. I know my son and daughter-in-law back in March were taking out of their jobs 2 or 3 times. They kept going back for a week, taking out 2 weeks, and back for a week, taking out. And they didn't have income for a while. And, you can't get evicted. Oh, yeah, they got eviction notices.
But I'm always picking the other side, Melanie, and I know I am. And by the way, I know I'm going to get people mad at me. But if you're now put yourself in the other position, you went out the last 12 years of your life, worked all the time, worked 6 days a week, put a lot of money in real estate because that's supposed to be the safe haven. And you go out there and you bought your home, and then you bought 3 other homes during that time. You kept all of them. You just kept moving on, and you kept those and rented them out. But you still are paying the mortgage bill on all those other 3 homes and yours. But your rent you were charging was taking care of those mortgages, at least maybe a little negative. Maybe you were still having to come up with a little bit of money, but It was basically taking care of those rents or your mortgages. Well, now if the government says, I cannot evict you for not paying me, and you don't pay me, the bank's going to take these homes away.
No, because that's the thing. Like Brandy said, the system, they broke the system.
Right.
But they're still expecting the top levels to have their stuff together. You can't do that because
the bank wouldn't take the house if they stopped all of it.
If they stopped all of the demand on payments, they couldn't take the houses.
We'll go back to 1930s and the banks all fail. And then all the money you put in your 401k.
It's not easy answer, but
that's my point. Commerce, the government can't take care of everything.
Guys, there's no easy answer, but what the answer I don't understand is going after American citizens like we're criminals for wanting to work.
Right.
That's what I don't understand. There is a restaurant here in Los Angeles. It was on the news this morning. Mr. Dixon answered. I'm going to get back to that, but it was on the news this morning, and this restaurateur, only takeout is allowed in Los Angeles. People took out two separate times, took the food out, and then they walked on the sidewalk and sat down at a bench. It's a public bench. It's been there forever. It's not the restaurant's bench. They got cited $500 per instance for breaking the rule of no eating out and eating at the restaurant. They said they were eating outside the establishment. $500. He said they're not making money. They had to keep a GoFundMe to keep going, and $500 twice times 2, so $1,000 because someone decided to go outside on a park bench, not a park bench, a street bench, and eat his food. He said, I didn't serve them. He said, I didn't wait on them. No one in my restaurant went outside. How can you find me? See, that's what I'm saying. They're going after American people, and it just makes no sense to me. So I'm going to calm down. But here's he said, if you work 5 years in Finland, then the government pays you 70% of your salary that you earned in those 5 years. And he said, if you're a business owner that has over 40 people, the government gives you hundreds of thousands to keep those people working. Wow.
But here's the problem. If you do the math, I don't know what they're taking in for the taxes, but you can't pay 70% of a person's salary because we only pay 30% of our salary to taxes. So that means that the government's going to go into debt for every dollar I give them, they're going to give me 3 back. That's not going to happen.
I don't know how that happens.
That's my point. Right now, maybe an emergency, but you can't sustain that. All I'm saying,
you would be really angry because the taxes are actually insane over there. So there's listen, I don't think there's a right answer. We don't want communism. We don't want, but people are hurting. That's the main thing. I want to go to something that one of the congresswomen said. Let me go to her quote. When she was one of the first ones to speak out is Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, and I probably butchered your name. I'm so sorry. Gabbard from Hawaii. And when it first came out, she said, they gave us 5,593 pages to read an hour. She said, I can't read it. Therefore, I can't pass the bill, not because she didn't agree with it, but because she felt like she's here to serve the public. And how do you serve the public if you can't know what you're passing? So she was one, but she also said that $600 is a slap in the face of Americans. But here's the privilege part that she said, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but she said that giving the vaccines to members of Congress ahead of the elderly is an immoral and bad health policy. I don't know if Democrats agree to that, but Congress is getting vaccines faster than normal
Maybe
people.
the older ones, but the young people, I don't. There are a lot of young people in Congress. They shouldn't necessarily be getting it. You shouldn't get it because you're in Congress. You should get it because maybe your health concerns.
I think so too. And I changed the subject a little bit just because, you know. So here's the thing. President Trump, I almost said President Bush. President Trump came out so violently against this bill because of all of the so-called pork in it. But then he signed it. And that puzzled me. Bill, do you know the answer to why he signed it?
I think he had to sign it. I think you had to do it. I mean, he wanted. Here's what really is funny. We're going to give the American people $700. I think is what it came down to, right? $600. And he kept saying it's not enough. We got to take it away from the corporations. We got to take it away from the rich people. We got to give it to the average person. And I'm not signing it unless we do. And they fought him and fought him and fought him. And of course, you know, every press conference I saw this weekend was him playing golf, saying he doesn't care about you getting $600. But he was actually saying, I'm not signing it because you're not getting enough money to the average person. And then but then he signed it. And then right after that, they went back and voted to up it to $2,000. Why couldn't they have done that last week or 2 weeks ago?
They're playing
just to keep somebody from getting a win. I mean, if it's just to keep your political opponent from getting a win, then I think you're a regular politician. You don't care about people. You care about your politics. That's it.
Well, what it is, there's a thing called a recession request. So President Trump can sign the old bill for $600, but hold certain funds that he doesn't agree with until all the new negotiations of $2,000 per person and $600 for children is met. So he signed it under a recession request, is my understanding from CNBC News, I believe it is. And so that was the condition. I'm going to sign it. And here's a quote from President Trump himself. Hold on a minute. Here is a quote from Trump about why he signed it. I don't know why that came back up. I pushed the wrong button. I am a fallible person. Here's his quote. He said, as president, I have told Congress that I want far less wasteful spending and more money going to the American people in the form of $2,000 checks per adult and $600 per child. Trump said in a statement Sunday, I am signing this bill to restore unemployment benefits, stop evictions, provide rental assistance, add money for PPP, return our airline workers back to work, add substantially more money for vaccine distribution, and more. So he didn't agree with it still, but if he didn't sign it, unemployment benefits were going to stop. Benefits that people already had was going to stop. So he's like, look, I had to sign it. You know, and he just had to sign it. But
he just wanted more, not less, and that was what he was arguing for.
But let's look at the bill real quick. What do we get? Here is our benefits, and I say us, so we're just all in the same package. We get $2,000. Well, this was the proposed bill per or $600 for anyone earning $75K and under. Now, I want to stop there because I want to ask you guys this: for people who work and they make $100,000 a year, they don't get any relief. But like you, Bill, okay, say you make, I don't know how much you make, or like my husband, you can make $125,000 a year, but before COVID, right? But that doesn't mean you have any money in the bank now. You haven't been able to work for 10 months. So you don't get relief because your taxes, they're going by your taxes.
Yes, and that's the problem because they're going by now 2019 taxes.
Right.
You get your taxes done for 2020, then I guess you'll be okay if you didn't make money this year. But if you didn't make money last year and yet you made money in 2018, 2019,
it's not going to show.
You're not going to get anything. Yeah.
You're not getting anything. And this is the thing. Okay, my taxes showed me that 2019 I made $125,000. But one, I might have lost my job 10 months ago because of COVID. You're not going to give me any money. All right. Correct. Number two, maybe I still have my job, but my children lost their job. So
Right.
now I'm trying to pay their bills and keep them afloat. So even if I have my $125,000 job, it doesn't go as far because now I'm taking care of people in my family who might have not survived. Maybe they've died. I've had to do burial expenses. Maybe I have, like for me, I have a niece I take care of since my sister died. I now take care of my niece. That's not an expense I expected to ever have, but
Right.
that's something that is not accounted for. You know, it makes absolutely no sense that you're going by a taxation or a taxable amount and you don't know how these people are affected. I think people, no matter what they have, they're affected. Everybody's affected.
Well, you know, I agree. Everybody's affected. And by the way, I think I make enough money and being in law enforcement. I essential. I didn't lack for
Use
work.
that word. Did you use that word, Bill?
I did it with the quotes because that's the word that you told us. But I'm not, honestly, I haven't hurt over this. Bill has not been hurt over this economically in the sense of I still have a job. But oh my gosh, a lot of people don't. And you're not wrong. People are moving in back home who are 25 years old who had good jobs, but they aren't essential and they're not having it. I read what our friend from Finland's saying, and I understand what he's saying about the government pretty much taking care of everybody. And that's wonderful. But I don't think that's sustainable unless you're getting money from somebody else. And that's the problem. You can't, we are the richest country on the planet. That's true. We give money to all kinds of countries. Maybe we should stop doing that, and then they're going to have troubles. This is a domino effect. It is not easy. And the problem is, it goes back to what I said last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. Patrick Henry said, "Is life so precious?" and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not quoting it, I'm paraphrasing it. That it's to be bought at the hands of slavery and chains. God forbid. I don't know what course you others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. And I've had people, well, one person in particular, especially, that was really mad at me for saying in a public set, not public, in a private setting, but there was like 20 people there, that I honestly want liberty over everything, including my health. And they said, you would rather be sick and have COVID and be a free man than your health is the most important. I said, it's not the most important. My freedom is the most important. And he really got mad at me for saying that. I said, no, I will not be. I don't want anybody to be subservient to anyone else. I want you to be your own person. And I understand, right. Mr. Richardson, what's his name? Dickman. Oh, that's okay. Sorry, I was reading it wrong. I understand what he says here, because as Christians, we do care for people. And we do. And individually, I have to give to the poor. I'm required by Christ to do that. But I don't want the government to take it from me to give to somebody, because I don't think they're that efficient and effective at it. I want Brandy and Melanie and Bill and Mr. Dickman to go out there and make money, do commerce, use that wealth to help other people and teach them how to do it. Because when you're your own person, then nobody is your boss. I mean, you might have a boss, but nobody's your lord. Nobody's you got to bow down to the serf and the master. I don't want that for anybody, not in Finland or in America or any place else. I want people to have that liberty that I possess to do what I want with my life and then help others with that. Now, I know that is a panacea, that's a pie in the sky world, but doggone it, that's what I'm striving for.
Well, I think that's what we should do. And I'm going to wrap up Mr. Dixon's comments that's been waiting. He said Finland's the happiest country on the planet, like 5 times in a row. That's got to, hey, right now you're being taken care of by those. He had a question, and I want to answer this. He said, I have a question for you that I really want to know. What do you do when you're in trouble and don't have money for food? Do you just die in a side way? And then he followed that and said, doesn't that create crime? And I think he's exactly right that this is creating an atmosphere of people have to do what they have to do. You know, I talked to you guys about that gentleman that owned the restaurant here in LA. Well, he was so angered at the fine, he blocked in the person writing the fine. I don't know where he's from, but whoever it was, he took his truck and blocked him in and said, "You're not getting out." Now that guy normally would have never been that kind of person
Right.
to do that, but this has forced the issue on him. And he said, "Look, I have servers and waiters and cooks. They got to feed their family, and they're counting on me. And you just took $1,000 from me that I can't now give to them." And it was so unjust that, you know, he blocked. You could see pictures that he blocked the guy in with his truck, and everybody was like, "That's not who he is. He's a gentle soul." But this is causing crime. I do believe that. I don't think we've yet to see it, but I believe it's happening.
Oh, I've seen it.
You know, so what do you do? Brandy, answer that question for Mr. Dixon. What do you do when you're out of trouble, have no money for food? What do we do here in America?
You're homeless. And that's what happened to the people we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. You know, I think we do have viable resources in different states. But even those resources, where are they going to get the money from? I think, Bill, it goes back. It's, you know, it's the mortgage people are reporting to these people who report to these people who report to these other people. And so for me, I would say try not to give up, and reach out to as many resources as you can. You know, family, friends, you know, I think I said this before, be humble. You know, if you have to go live with your parents, live with your parents. If you have to live with a family member, if some friends have to, you know, get it together. There's some nationalities, they've been doing this 9, 10 deep in one house. For you older people, that in deep, that just means a lot of people. And so, you know, I think we have to think outside the box. Let homelessness be your portion if it has to be, but not first, like, okay, I'm going to get evicted, then my next step is a tent. Hopefully that's not the case. You know, reach out to as many, and some people don't even know, because that's not ever been their lot in life. They don't know there's a place that you can go that gives you groceries. There's one place I passed. I'm almost in tears when I pass it, because I'm not in it right now, but I've been in it. And there's hundreds of cars in line. They're giving out boxes of food from the food bank. So, you know, what happens when you run out of resources yourself? Call somebody. My favorite scripture, it talks about how God will provide for you for today. Today, let this day be our daily bread. Sometimes we might not know where Wednesday's food or Thursday's food is going to come from. You may only get today's daily bread, but make sure that you reach out to enough people and let them know, you know, hey, Melanie, I'm hungry. Hey, Bill, I can't pay my whatever. And I'm going to tell you, I was in the dark at one time, and I told Melanie, and she was like, "You stayed in the dark for a week?" I didn't know how to say,
Yeah.
I don't have any money and I don't have any lights, and me and my kid in the dark. And she was like, "Don't ever, she's like, even if I can't give it to you, I can get it for you. I never want you to be in the dark." And so I had a personal pandemic before we before we were in a pandemic. And so, you know, if you do get to a place where you're just like, I'm out of resources, keep trying other people and don't just give up. So that's what I would say.
And we do, and by the way, Mr. Dickinson, we do have a tremendous amount of social assistance in our country. We do have a tremendous amount. We spend more on social assistance than we do on the military, by almost twice as much, maybe more than twice. So we actually do a pretty good job of helping people. But you can't, my point is, it's unsustainable to just we don't create money. Only business commerce does. And since the government is telling us we can't have commerce, we're in big trouble. And that's because you can't then have money to pay for the welfare institutions that we are helping people. We don't have people, we do have homeless people, but a lot of those people aren't even trying to use the system. Some of them, I deal with homeless people all the time in my job, and a lot of them are fine with it. Some of them got a lot of money, actually, but they're fine with it. And so, I mean, that's just part of this the dynamic of existence. But nothing is going to stay forever. He even said, he goes, they've got a problem with people coming in to Finland, immigrating, and that's causing a big problem. Well, yeah, if you give stuff away, people are going to show up. You pay people to come here, I'm coming.
Right.
And there's only so long that can last. And that's all I'm saying. Look, I want to help people. I don't want anybody starving. I don't want anybody in pain. And I think as Christians, we are our brother's keeper. We need to go out and reach people and do things individually. Yes. When I look at the macro picture, though, of government and finance, the reason the United States became the #1 economic power in the world was because of this commerce that was going on here for unstopped for so many years. All of a sudden, it stopped. And we have rich politicians, rich ones, who are telling people like me, I'm not poor, but I'm not rich. I make enough money this month to pay last month's bills. And they're telling me, you need to sit home, do not do this because it's for your safety. Well, I agree. I don't want people sick, but you have to balance everything out there. Until you get to heaven, there isn't any place that's just going to be, oh, you just sit home and there'll be plenty of food and because somebody has to pay that bill.
That's true.
And if you don't let anybody work, then there's nobody going to be paying that bill. Anyway, that's what, it's complicated. I don't want to be in charge. If I run for office, don't vote for me.
Hey, I think we all agree with that we don't want to be in charge.
President, do not vote for me because I will not vote for myself.
Anyway, all right. So, but I want to touch base on something Brandy said. I know we're coming close to the hours over. There's so much more I wanted to bring up and talk about, but we've had a great discussion with Mr. Dickinson and with everyone, and it's been eye-opening. But to end it, I want to bring us back to something Brandy said, and now I forgot what she said. But yes, the one thing that this has done is it leveled the playing field for us all. Where Brandy once was, and I have been in my life, ashamed, embarrassed, or just feeling unworthy of asking for help when we needed it, this atmosphere here has caused us to say everyone's in the same boat. So we can feel free to say, hey, I can't put food on my table. I can't, COVID is the one excuse people all understand, So if you're listening and you are in need of help, there are food banks in almost every city. Go to local churches, even if you're not a member. They normally have a food bank at every church.
Yeah.
You can Google food banks near me, and it will come up with times and dates of local places that you can go to within your city, within your area. But ask for people. Ask people about, how do I get things? Tell people you're hurting. Tell the people around you. Don't feel bad. Brandy would be like, oh, I don't want to bother you. You got enough. You have, your family to take care of. No, might have my family, but guess what? If I know you, even if I don't, you're my family. As Christians, we do have to take care of one another. So anyone listening, you can reach out to us, tell us what your needs, and maybe we can help you find something. You can go email me at info@truthtohear.org, or just comment or something on any of the social media platforms that you're listening to this on. The one thing that I find, and I think we all can find help in, is trusting in God. I made this thing up, and it's just a little trust in God. This is just something that I want to share. God is already prepared. This situation, this pandemic, all of the things that we are facing across the entire world is not a surprise to God. He's already prepared answers for us. And for those who are willing to seek him, he's leading us all the way through this. How are we able to sustain ourselves? How do we keep our joy? How are we smiling? Listen, everyone on here, we've all been through so much, but God is leading us through all of it. Get to know who God is, his ways and his characters. He has promises for us. For those who are called child of God, there are promises that we can hang our hat on. And that's where your comfort and assurance is going to be. That's where we're going to be able to say how to make the right choices. What do we do? When do we do it? And not act out of fear, but out of trust. So I just wanted to share that as a way that we can be encouraging one another. I love Mr. Dixon. And he said, his closing remark, he said, have a great day. Please help those who are in need. Yes. And he also asked if our next conversation can be about space and Elon Musk. I don't mind, actually. And Mr. Dixon, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
He said his best friend died, and said he saw a light. Well, that is beautiful.
Very recently too.
Just a month ago. We are very sorry for your loss. There's something about it when you say best friend. We know it's someone that was so close to you, and I thank God that he did see a light. There was something leading him to a peaceful place.
Oh, he's back.
Wait, he was revived.
Oh,
yeah. You can't do that to us. I don't know how to take
well,
that.
no, you know what? It's actually really good because that's the resurrection. I mean, that's I brought a couple people back with CPR. That's the resurrection. But look at that. He died, and we're sad, and we don't even know the guy.
Right.
And now he's not dead, and we're happy. Just like Jesus said about the prodigal son. You got to be happy that your brother's back. He was dead, and now he's alive. And we just all experienced it. All three of us felt for Mr. Dickinson. Very sad. And then all of a sudden, we're really happy. That's the gospel. That's the gospel right there. That's the gospel.
It is.
And he is now alive thanks to Jesus Christ.
Well, we are thankful that he is not dead, that he was only dead for 3 minutes and he was revived. And, you know, Mr. Dickinson, thank you so much for adding to our show today. And you definitely win. So let me know how to reach out to you. We can email you so that you can get one of these 4 items, either a t-shirt, a cup, a bag, or a hat. We would love to give that to you.
Step out and say something to my daughter.
Okay. And don't forget, we have a daily dose of truth to hear. So tomorrow there's a conversation, just me and, well, my husband, Mark Keenan. We're going to have, there's a picture of him in case you want to know. That's our show for tomorrow at 2:00. And then